on NYSE Floor Talk is Harold Butler. He is the Managing Director, Head of Diverse Financial Institutions Group at Citi. Harold, it's wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate being here and on a momentous and marvelous occasion such as Black Heritage.
Exactly, and you are ringing the closing bell today to
can't
mark
wait.
that.
Cannot wait. I promise not to mess it up.
I'm sure you won't.
Thank you.
So, Harold, tell me about Citi's Diverse Financial Institutions Group. Why was it created, and what do you do?
So, this is my favorite topic, actually. In fact, I think next to Jane herself, I think I have the best job in the whole company. So the Diverse Financial Institutions Group was created as part of our overall commitment to help reduce the racial wealth gap. So after George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, and when many firms made commitments to the street to do their part, Citi made ours, and it was important. It remains important today, but what was key about our commitment is that we knew it didn't just stop at a set of aspirational goals. It needed to go further. And so DFIG is what we refer to it as affectionately, was created to be the execution arm, if you will, of a set of goals that help Citi fulfill its commitment to the street, right? And to engage and lead the way with other financial institutions, to be a catalyst for customers and how they would engage the space, but moreover, to be able to support minority, diverse broker-dealers and banks. So that's sort of how we touch and fulfill some of our commitments is through financial institutions. That's what my group does.
Mm-hmm. All right, so tell me, Harold, why is it important for firms like Citi to support MDIs?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think fundamentally at the heart of it, it's all about data, right? So if you just take a step back and you think about the data element of it, right? It's good to have a great strategy that does good and feels good, but we'll take Black communities, for example, using them as an example. There's still 46, 47% of Black households that remain underbanked or non-banked, right? So if you just think about the sheer economic power of that on the number side, and you think about the best way to address that, large banks like Citi and regional banks should all be looking at it from multiple lenses and then using MDIs as a catalyst to drive change, right? And at the same time, be able to do things to drive value, right, to their shareholders and things that can drive and put the value right back into the communities through the financial institutions themselves, right? So that's kind of the way we look at it a little bit, is to use the banks, the MDI community to help empower and enrich their ability to drive solutions to the communities they serve.
So earlier you mentioned George Floyd.
Yes.
Tell me, what's your assessment of the changes made on Wall Street in terms of a commitment to diversity over the last several years, particularly since the death of George Floyd?
Yes, it's a great question, right? And I think many are asking that question. I would tell you this. I think when it comes to minority deposit institutions, they are in the best position that they've been in decades, right? I think it's a positive story, Judy, as to where we sort of began and where we are now. Sure, there's always going to be more work that needs to be done, right? That the work, I think, is ongoing, right? Maybe there are new challenges and new opportunities, but I think much has been done to change the narrative. Before George Floyd, there were roughly 19 Black financial institutions. Today there are 21. So we're starting to see growth in the space, but more importantly, the banks themselves have become incredibly well capitalized, the majority of them, right? So from banks like Citi and other financial institutions, corporates have all sort of been doing their part to put capital on these balance sheets, to include the government. The government did a great job with ESIP funding, over $9 billion they put into the space. Some of these banks doubled in size like almost overnight. That's a great narrative, right? Now the challenge, right, and the opportunity at the same time is really how to unlock that capital, right? So things like deposits remain very key and critical to the banks. For every $1, the banks can raise $10 and they put that capital to work, right? So that's the next sort of quandary, is to figure out how do we help empower the financial institutions to deploy capital, right? To make good use of how they do capital, how to manage that process, but more importantly, how to get those deposits, right? We're very focused at Citi on, again, doing our part to help unlock the liquidity aspect of it and to continue to have the dialogue. Like our dialogue is very important to the overall story.
All right, well, Harold, it's been wonderful to have you on Floor Talk. Thanks for joining me today.
I thank you very much for having us.